InvestorIdeas.com podcasts.
Good morning and welcome to another InvestorIdeas.com podcast, looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from thought leaders and experts.
Today we will be looking at announcements from FSD Pharma Incorporated, trading on the CSE as HUGE, Australis Capital Incorporated, trading on the CSE as AUSA, Aurora Cannabis Incorporated, trading on the TSX as ACB, and the OTCQB as ACB.TO, Cannabis Growth Opportunity Corporation, trading on the CSE as CGOC.C, and Namaste Technologies Incorporated, trading on the TSX Venture as N. But first, TLRY Incorporated, trading on the NASDAQ as TLRY, has been on a trading high since the earlier announcement of receiving approval from the Drug Enforcement Administration to import marijuana to the United States for medical research. The company's U.S.-listed shares jumped 28.9% yesterday, with 19 million of the company's 21.7 million floating shares exchanging hands. Shares are up over 400% in the past month. TLRY will work with the University of California, San Diego Center for Medical Cannabis Research to study the safety, tolerability, and efficacy of marijuana for a neurological disorder. Aurora Cannabis Incorporated, trading on the TSX as ACB and OTCQB as the ACB.FF, also had a large share surge of 17.6% on the speculation of a partnership with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola and Aurora Cannabis could develop marijuana-infused beverages that are mainly health-focused to ease inflammation, pain, and cramping, Reuters reports. Along with many others in the beverage industry, we are closely watching the growth of the non-psychoactive CBD as an ingredient in functional wellness beverages around the world, Coca-Cola said in a statement referring to the cannabinoid, a constituent of cannabis. No decisions have been made at this time. Next, moving on to Australis Capital Incorporated, an emerging investment company primarily focused on the U.S. cannabis industry, who announced today the commencement of trading on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the ticker AUSA. This is immediately following the completion of the distribution of common shares and warrants of Australis by Aurora Cannabis to its shareholders. Moving on to FSD Pharma Incorporated, who announced today that its subordinate voting shares have been upgraded to a listing on the OTCQB venture market, trading under the ticker symbol FSDDF. The company's subordinate voting shares continue to be listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol HUGE and on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol 0K9. We're excited to be upgraded to a listing on the OTCQB venture market for early stage and developing U.S. and international companies. This new listing allows U.S. investors the opportunity to further share in the company's continued expansion and growth internationally, said Zishan Saeed, EVP and Director of FSD Pharma. U.S. investors can obtain real-time quotes and market information for the company at www.otcmarkets.com and the access to the most current company news and developments. Moving on to Cannabis Growth Opportunity Corporation, a cannabis-focused investment corporation with both public and private cannabis holdings, announced the company's updated net asset value per common share of $2.96 at the close of business yesterday, September 17th. This represents growth of 11.4% since September 4th of this year. The company also reminds shareholders of the special meeting of shareholders to be held on October 15th of this year. Shareholders are being asked to consider and approve the removal of certain investment restrictions, such as restrictions prohibiting investments of more than 40% of total assets in securities of private issuers, and investing more than 10% of total assets in the securities of any single issuer. And finally, moving on to Namaste Technologies Incorporated, who announced its inclusion of the Horizons Medical Marijuana Life Sciences ETF, trading on the TSX as HMMJ. Inclusion in the ETF is a significant milestone for Namaste as the company established itself as a leader in cannabis-focused e-commerce technology. The ETF seeks to replicate to the extent possible the performance of the North American Marijuana Index, net of expenses. The index is designed to provide exposure to the performance of a basket of North American publicly listed life sciences companies with significant business activities in the marijuana industry. Only stocks that meet minimum asset and liquidity thresholds are eligible for inclusion in the index. Stocks are rebalanced quarterly on a market capitalization basis and capped so that no single stock can exceed 10% of the weight of the index when rebalanced. That's all for today's podcast. Potcasts is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartradio, Spreaker, and Tunein. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website And this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment.